I'm Kinilia and this is KiniNews. Since GE15, Zahid Hamidi's life has changed quite a lot. For starters, he's back in the government. However, some parts of his pre-GE15 life linger. For example, his foreign visa system corruption case.
The prosecution has filed a petition of appeal to overturn Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's acquittal in the foreign visa system corruption case. FMT reported that prosecutors filed the petition of appeal at the Court of Appeal yesterday. The petition of appeal was previously filed on September 26th. Under the law, a petition of appeal contains the listed grounds to support the appellant's case when the matter comes up for hearing before the Court of Appeal. The source was also quoted as saying that the petition cited 15 grounds to reverse the acquittal at the end of the prosecution's case. The petition also called for the current Deputy Prime Minister to be ordered to enter his defence in the VLN case. The prosecution's appeal is fixed for case management before the Court of Appeal on January 10th next year. On September 23rd, the Shah Alam High Court ruled that the prosecution had failed to prove a prima facie case against Zahid and his three key witnesses were unreliable.
So while the prosecution looks at overturning Zahid's acquittal, his position in UMNO appears to be secured, for now.
After UMNO's uninspiring performance in G15, some expected to see Ahmad Zahid Hamidi challenged for the presidency in the party polls. However, several UMNO leaders have since decided against challenging Zahid. Among them is UMNO Vice President Ismail Sabri Yaakob. A source close to Ismail Sabri told Malaysia Kini that the political scenario has changed. The source added that they are certain that Ismail Sabri will not go for the presidency, more so as he is no longer the Prime Minister. The source also said after UMNO's disastrous showing at G15, party leaders just want to focus on unifying the party. Earlier, Ismail Sabri, former Defence Minister Hishamuddin Hussein and former Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin were expected to challenge Zahid for the party presidency. The source added that several UMNO division leaders who were previously against Zahid are now rallying behind the Deputy Prime Minister, and calls for Zahid to step down have withered. Zahid recently announced the party's internal polls may be brought forward and be held way before May next year, when the 6-month period after G15 is up. Meanwhile, an UMNO Supreme Council member who declined to be named said that Khairi may spring a surprise by going for the presidency. Malaysia Kini has reached out to both Ismail Sabri and Khairi to confirm their stand on contesting in the party polls.
How safe is your personal data online? Well, if the latest leak is true, not very safe. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadzil has urged Cybersecurity Malaysia and the Personal Data Protection Department to probe a series of new alleged personal data breaches. Fahmi said this today in a tweet in response to an advertisement on the alleged sale of 13 million personal records. Today, several Twitter users drew attention to the advertisement, which contained samples of the data sets for sale. On December 25th, a user called Nimori posted an advertisement on a database sharing online forum called Breached. The user claimed to be in possession of 3.5 million personal records from Astro, 1.8 million records from Maybank, and 7.2 million records from the Election Commission. These records contain a home address, phone number, and MyCard number. A similar advertisement appeared on December 10th, posted by user Dreamstime. In both cases, there was no asking price. Records of both Nimori and Dreamstime suggest that they are not specializing in Malaysian data. We interviewed Nik Nazmi recently and he appeared confident that Anwar's government will remain intact, unlike the previous Harapan administration.
There is optimism that the government led by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim will last. Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad, the new Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister, believes that this is because Anwar's government brings some much-needed stability to the nation.
I do. I think there's a huge desire for stability. You speak to businesses, you speak to civil servants, you speak to civil society. What do you call that? And you know, the fact that there was no majority. So you need some form of government.
In an interview with Malaysia Kini, Nik Nazmi also said that Malaysians want to see an end to the politicking since the low point of the 2020 Sheraton move.
Having gone through Sheraton move and beyond, I think people appreciated that we now have 2/3 majority. So I think that we have to use the goodwill in the fact that Datuk Sri Anwar is Prime Minister after 24 years, right? And then you have this sort of cross-party alliance, unity government in place. We have to make use of what we have now.
Nik Nazmi added that this goodwill must not be squandered.
We see how Indonesia is growing. We see how Vietnam is growing. And I think there's a lot of desire that, for us to catch up. And I think there's a lot of international interest in Malaysia right now. And I think that sense of stability, I think, is important.
Last week, Anwar passed the motion of confidence tabled in the Dewan Rakyat to confirm his legitimacy as the Prime Minister through a voice vote. In another test of the government's strength, newly appointed Dewan Rakyat Speaker Johari Abdul garnered 147 votes, one shy of a 2/3 majority. Nik Nazmi also admitted that one factor in bringing together the parties in the government was a collective fear of the growing influence of PAS.
People are all quite concerned about the PN, the rise of PN. And that sort of, whether for better or for worse, it has sort of brought the unity government together. And I think, but at the same time, it's important to engage and not be dismissive. We have to understand why not just the East Coast, the North, even parts of Selangor. In my area, to be honest, I did not expect PN to be the number 2 party.
Nik Nazmi won the Setiawangsa parliamentary seat with 34,000 votes, a majority of over 12,000 over PN's Nurul Fadzila Kamaluddin, who bagged 22,000 votes.
Next month, China is set to reopen its borders, and because of this, some in the tourism sector are beginning to worry.
The Malaysian Tourism Agency Association has urged the government to temporarily suspend the entry of tourists from China. MATA President Muhammad Khalid Harun said the suspension should be in place until there is a decrease of daily cases of COVID-19 in China. Khalid also said the recent surge in COVID-19 cases in China has increased the potential of new variants of the virus to emerge. He added that hospitals across China are facing explosions of COVID-19 cases following Beijing's decision to withdraw their strict regulations. In a statement today, Khalid said the trauma faced by players in the tourism industry due to the COVID-19 outbreak has yet to be resolved. Therefore, Khalid said he hoped that it would not recur, as tourism industry players are still in the process of recovery. He also said that many foreign countries have tightened the entry of tourists and business persons from China for the time being to curb the spread of the COVID-19 outbreak in their countries. On Wednesday, Transport Minister Anthony Loke said Malaysia would see a surge in flight demands following the reopening of China's borders.
A wife is seeking the help of Anwar Ibrahim to locate her missing husband. She spoke to the press today. Here's what Sheda had to say.
Pakistani journalist Syed Fawad Ali Shah's whereabouts remain unknown to the public. Now his wife is appealing to Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim for help in locating her missing husband.
I am going through a very critical phase of my life at this time. I am asking appeal for help from Prime Minister of Malaysia to find my husband. Every woman have dream that they live with their husband, and after marriage, woman feel safe with her husband. I think that my husband is not secure. Then how I feel secure? I am very worried about my husband. Please help me in this regard. Thank you.
Syed Fawad is a 41-year-old Pakistani investigative journalist in his home country, known for his brand in probing government corruption and missing persons using several English dailies. He has been living in exile in Malaysia for over 10 years to escape persecution in Pakistan and is said to be a UNHCR card holder. His wife, who is also of Pakistani origin and wished to simply be identified as Sheda for her safety, spoke at a press conference today. She revealed her ordeal attempting to locate her husband, who has been missing since August 23rd. The press conference was attended by representatives from the Malaysian Advancement Party and Council, P. Waidamurthy and Kartigesan Shanmugam.
He has published various publications on corruption and missing persons in Pakistan. And for that, he has been arrested. He has also previously been kidnapped by the Pakistani authorities. And in 2011, having escaped the country, he entered Malaysia through Thailand.
Sheda, who is a teacher by profession, claimed that the pressure to locate Syed Wafat has burdened both her mental and physical health. She also disclosed that she had suffered from a miscarriage amid the trauma of her husband's disappearance. Sheda, who is also based in Pakistan, married Syed Fawad through an online ceremony in 2021, eventually reuniting in Langkawi earlier this year on February 1st, 2022.
The MACC is probing the KL Tower management transfer, and today the Graphbuster interviewed several officers from a ministry in Putrajaya.
MACC personnel visited the Communications and Digital Ministry in Putrajaya today. This was part of its investigation of Telekom Malaysia's disposal of its subsidiary that manages the KL Tower. Sources said the MACC personnel collected documents concerning the transfer of equity in Menara Kuala Lumpur Sendirian Berhad to Hydro Shop Sendirian Berhad. A source also revealed that several ministry officers were also interviewed. Attempts to reach the ministry and MACC Chief Commissioner Azam Baki for comments have been unsuccessful. Yesterday, the MACC announced that the probe into the deal had begun. Recently, several netizens have claimed that the deal was suspicious because TM had disposed of its profitable company to a little-known firm. The deal was alleged to have taken place towards the end of October, after Parliament was dissolved. Kuala Lumpur Tower is a government-owned asset, and MKLSB has been the concession holder to operate and maintain the tower since 1996. On Tuesday, former Multimedia and Communications Minister Anwar Musa told Malaysia Kini that he was not involved in the matter.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Kimilia. Thanks for watching.